It's been described as the world's highest, coldest battlefield, with soldiers deployed often at altitudes in excess of 22,000 feet. It's impossible for ordinary people to get to those heights, and the extraordinary amount of training that Indian soldiers receive enable them to actually fight from these heights if necessary. Well, joining us for more details of what the Indian soldiers do as they maintain these heights, Colonel Jawa. Colonel is the base commander over here of the Siachen base. Thanks very much, sir, for speaking to us.
Thank you.
What makes fighting at such altitudes, 20,000 feet plus, difficult? What are the biggest challenges?
See, Vishnu, the first and foremost challenge is the altitude itself. As you gain height, the rarefied oxygen makes it very difficult to move. You would have felt the same as you've been moving around with us today. Secondly, as you move on to the glacier, the glaciated terrain, the crevices, avalanches, and the extreme cold are other challenges which are faced by the people throughout their times. We've got training, we've got equipment to surmount these challenges. We train all our men adequately over a prolonged period before they are inducted. This is after adequate acclimatization, wherein they are medically tested, they are given adequate time for their bodies to get used to these altitudes, after which they carry out their training and subsequently move up onto the glacier.
Now, some of the clothing that the men wear is some of the finest that money can buy. Earlier on, there were concerns about what Indian soldiers were wearing, but this clothing is lightweight, it's effective, it's meant to repel the cold, it enables them to fight as well. Isn't that the case?
Absolutely right. The equipment that we're getting is amongst the best in the world, and our troops are very well geared up, as you can see. This equipment, the white, is also giving you a camouflage kind of a thing in the snow, with the background of the snow. And the equipment is amongst the best in the world.
Yeah. But it ultimately boils down to the mental strength of individuals. At those altitudes, how do you actually train a soldier and an officer to be mentally strong? How important is mental strength?
Well, apart from the physical strength, as you rightly said, the mental strength has got a great deal of importance. And it starts by making a soldier believe and have faith in himself. This is done over the extreme training that we carry out in the Siachen Battle School, which we've already shown you a part of it. Each individual, be it an officer, a JCO or another rank, goes through the training and is expected to achieve a same standard of physical fitness as well as mental robustness before he is inducted into the glacier.
And in terms of how we ensure that the number of people or the number of casualties goes down, we've obviously had the experience of 31 years now operating over here. How has training changed over the years to minimize casualties?
First and foremost, we have modified and refined our training based on all the experience that we've gained. The timings of induction, the routes of induction have been well marked. The troops are adequately and extremely well clad, trained. We've also got sufficient number of doctors and nursing assistants on all posts with adequate medical equipment and all the best medicines to cure them. Apart from that, we have the best facilities available for our aircraft to move in and evacuate casualties on an immediate kind of a basis, wherein anyone falling ill, we are able to get him out in a minimal time and give him treatment at the earliest.
Let's talk about helicopter operations and how the helicopters of the Army and the Air Force are very much part of the lifeline over here. What role do they perform in these operations?
See, as you rightly brought out, the helicopters are indeed the lifeline of operations in the glacier. They first of all start off with the induction of rations and equipment, which is done through heli dropping or landed operations. And secondly, very important is the timely casualty evacuation, which is carried out. We've got helicopters on standby in case of any casualties, and they are able to get these people down well in time for further evacuation to the hospitals.
I remember coming over here many years ago when letters were the only way through which Jawans and officers could communicate with their families, and it was a big priority to drop letters. But it's changing now. I mean, Jawans and officers on the posts are able to call up home as well, even if they're 23,000 feet in terms of their post location.
With the improving and enhancement of technology, everything has also kept pace, and we are very grateful to the government for having provided us adequate number of Inmarsats and satellite phones. As also, we've got mobile connectivity as well as satellite connectivity here.
Final question. Your role, besides commanding this particular base is also being motivator in chief to all of these men, not just those who are going up, but also those who've come down, to keep them going, to keep them happy. How much of that is that a challenge for you, being a motivator of men?
See, motivating men is always going to be a challenge in any sphere. And definitely it has its own challenges. The commanding officers are there who look after their men, to look after the individual interests of each man, whether he's got a problem, whether he's got anything hanging about at his house. We try to reach out and assist them, and also approach the civil administration in the location. Apart from that, the training, the facilities, the equipment and the rations that are being given themselves are great motivators, also help the men perform better.
All right. Well, Colonel, thank you so much for speaking to us. There you have it, a small look at what it means to ensure that we are prepped to maintain this battleground, the world's highest battleground, how difficult, how challenging it is, but how important it is for India to keep sustaining this operation.